I'm Zach.
And I'm Michelle.
And this is a Couple Games YouTube channel.
In this video, we are going to be talking about our favorite under 30-minute games. So we each picked 3 that we are going to cover and show you guys a little bit about and just talk to you about our favorite under 30-minute games.
Yes, and these are not party games. These are games that you can play just 2 people, because party games typically tend to be quicker as well, but they require a larger player count.
Yeah, and we definitely we're going to do another whole video on what we think are our favorite party games, which again, we would really consider those for being like 4 people or more. Is that kind of what you would consider? Yeah. And all the games we've chosen tonight are 4 or less, I want to say.
Close to it.
Around there. We'll kind of touch on that as we get into it. But yeah. Do you want to start us off?
Sure, I'll start us off. First one we have here is Next Station London. So this is a roll and write game. It's very unique where you're creating basically train routes or bus routes using colored pencils. That's the neat thing about this one. There's a lot of roll and writes or flip and writes out there, but this one you're using colored pencils to basically make these routes. You're flipping over cards and it tells you where you have to connect your next station to, whether it's a square or a circle, and you can only build off the ends of your route. You can't branch out unless a specific card comes out and tells you that. But it's nice and quick. We like to play it on the couch every now and again, and so
yeah, this is one you can play because you're like watching a good TV show. Like it doesn't take a crazy amount of focus. It's pretty light. The color pencils too, you rotate them. So there are 4 and you have to use all 4. And after you've used all 4, that's how you know the game is over. And you're flipping cards to mark on your sheet.
Yeah.
So it's actually like a sheet. It's like a notebook. Like it really just looks like notebook paper, but it's a fun little game.
Yeah.
We play it on the couch more than anywhere else. Like this has never really hit the table.
Yeah, it's like our couch game. And it has 3 kind of modes of play. It has just plain vanilla. Then it has where each colored pencil has its own unique power. And then there's also where you can have goal cards as well to add to it. So you can take it to very simple to a little more complex.
Yeah, so. Next Station London. It's really fun.
Yep.
Okay, another under 30-minute game that I really love is Patchwork. So you can see this is the Christmas edition because we have the Christmas version, but there are other holiday versions too of this game that all play the same way. They're just different decorations basically. So in Patchwork, you are building a quilt using little tiles. It's a polyomino game. And you have a little grid. I cannot remember how big it is.
The dimensions,
yeah. The dimensions of the grid, but you have a grid. Your polyominoes are covering up your board. The interesting thing about this one is that as you're collecting the tiles that you're going to place, you're trying to look for buttons. So there's buttons that are on each tile. The more buttons you have, the faster you accumulate points, and usually the better your score will be. I'm trying to think. Yeah. There's like a Halloween version, 4th of July, like patriotic.
Or just a regular non-holiday version too.
Yeah, but we love the Christmas one. We definitely play this during the holiday season, and sometimes we just play it whenever. There's little tokens that we've gotten for this one to kind of accumulate your points that we've purchased, like turning this on Etsy. I'm trying to think of like anything else.
Yeah. About Patchwork. It has the cool whoever's in last on the turn tracker, It's their turn, so you can take a turn and then you'll move up the little turn tracker, and if you're still in last, then it's your turn again. So that's a really cool mechanism in this too.
Yeah, that's right. Like Nova Luna, that's another game we've also talked about that has the same style of play. You're like laying all your tiles in a circle, and that's how you're choosing which tile. As long as you're in last place, you get to keep choosing.
Yeah, and you talked about the buttons. Like there's a little button economy. That's how you pay for tiles to get on your board, and the better tiles cost more buttons, and then you'll trigger where you'll just get more buttons based on your board. And
buttons earn you your tokens, which are your points. And there's several stops on the board that indicate when you get your button economy. What is it? Button income.
Yeah.
That's on the board, and as you pass that button income, that's when you get your tokens, your money.
Yeah.
Which is like your points. So yeah, that's Patchwork Christmas Edition. This one plays pretty quick, and this is only for 2 players. So that's something a little bit different. This is a 2-player only game.
Yep. So I'm next. So next on my list is Rolling Realms by Stonemaier Games. So this is another one of those roll and writes or rando writers. It's kind of genius because he came out with this game, and basically it's a game based on all his other games. So all of the realms are these dry erase cards, and they're all based on his games like Viticulture, Scythe, Tapestry, Wingspan. All those are in this game, basically. And there's little mini games, basically, that you roll the dice and you try to trigger off different abilities. You're collecting stars are the points, and then there are, what are the resources? I'm trying to remember.
There's
2.
hearts, there's pumpkins. It's
hearts,
based off
pumpkins,
of charter
and
stuff.
coins. Yeah.
There's coins. I think coins could be multiple.
Yeah, it could. But, and all the resources do different things that you spend them to do this, and
like raise your die a point or lower. I know that's one of them, or some of them might be double.
Yeah, double your dice, or you get to use, and you're using either you're using both dice, and you have 3 realms in front of you, so you're choosing which realms they go in. You typically play 3 rounds, where each round you get a fresh set of realms or the little game cards. But we sometimes just play 2. It just depends on how much time we're taking. It's not a long game. It says 30 minutes on the box, and that's pretty accurate. But if you're we'll sit on the couch and play this one, roll it, while we're watching a show, and then get distracted and be like, oh, let's only play 2 this time. Yeah.
And this one goes up to 6.
Mm-hmm.
We've never played it with that many.
Nope. And it also has a solo mode. I've never played that either. So, yeah. But that's Rolling Realms by Stonemaier Games.
It's a good one. Okay. Next up, we have Harvest Dice. So this is a dice rolling game, as you can see by the name, and it also involves writing. It's funny how
many of these we have.
So many games that we chose for this happen to have like a writing aspect. I guess a lot of times those games go faster. So your dice each represent a different vegetable, and you're growing vegetables in your garden for your little piggy to eat. So every color dice is like a carrot. The carrots are orange, and then the tomatoes are red dice, and then your lettuce is your green dice. So you're trying to come up with the garden that's worth the most points at the end of the game. If you get to a point where you can't place, that's when the little piggy can come in and kind of help you along. It's been a while since we played this one.
Well, you'll feed the pig the dice. So normally the number on the die represents where you can put it in your garden. The number on the die, if you feed to the pig, it lets you cross off a certain amount of circles that are on this little piggy chart. And then once you make a line, then you get a piggy power, I guess it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And that lets you manipulate the dice in some way in a later round. And so
you can
helps you out that
place
way.
it later. So it has a good way to eventually place the dice that you're having trouble placing based on your roll.
Yeah. And there's a little bit of supply and demand in this one, whereas every round there's going to be 1 die left over, and that die, that color, that vegetable becomes more valuable. And so the more of that vegetable you have in your garden is going to score more points, but it's also, when you take it, you're probably not going to get that demand up for it because the supply is so much.
Yeah, and funny story about this game. We've had it for a long time, and this is actually like our distraction game when I had both of our boys when we were in the hospital. So we took this with us in our hospital bag, and while I was in labor, we played it both times. It's just like a distractor, and it doesn't take up much space. You can roll the dice in the box. You can see how tiny these little dice are. And even the little notepad is just so convenient. Like it's just you can. This is a great travel game too. This could definitely be like one of those like airplane games. I think we played it like on a somewhere.
I think we took it to Italy too.
So this is just a great like
Yeah.
grab and go game. If you know you're gonna have downtime, it's not very long, and it's light enough to like obviously like I could play it while I was in labor. I don't think we finished with the second baby.
Yeah.
We had to put it away. It's like nope, not even time for that. Yeah, so that's a funny story about harvest ice. What else do we have?
The last one I have over here is Marvel Remix. So this is a game that's based off another game called Fantasy Realms, which has more of a fantasy theme. Basically, in this game, you're trying to build the best hand, and you have these superheroes, supervillains, locations, items, things like that. The neat twist about this one is, besides being Marvel themed, which is awesome in my opinion, is there's two different decks. There's just the regular remix deck, and then there's the villain deck. And at the end of the game, you have to have a villain and basically a good guy, which is either a hero or an ally in your hand. Otherwise, your hand's worthless. But you're trying to get these different cards, and basically they say like if with this symbol that might be on these other cards, then it scores more points. And so like, Thor wants to be with his hammer, and Captain America wants to be with his shield, and Hulk wants to be with like the little gamma symbol. And so it's kind of neat like that. And then the villains do different things. They usually deduct points based on symbols, and so you're trying to find the right villain for the right hero and all that good stuff.
And then is it like situation too, part of it? Or like location?
You can have locations. It's not required though. You just need a good guy and a bad guy. Yeah. So building the best story, best comic book.
Yeah. So the location part always stands out to me because I feel like I get that combination card a lot where it's like if you have this with this at this,
Yeah.
then that's where you can really maximize your points.
Yeah. So it's really cool, and it's very quick. You basically either draw a card off the top, and then you have to discard a card, or you can take a card from the discard. But once there's 10 cards in the discard, that's it. So
yeah, and I like it. I didn't really know if I was going to like it. I'm not the biggest Marvel fan, but I like this game. It's good.
Yeah. But that's Marvel Remix.
Last, we have Welcome to. This is such a good game. This used to be like in my top 10. It's high up there.
Yeah.
Welcome to Your Perfect Home. Okay, where do we start with this one? Again, it's a flip and write game. So here we are with the writing again. But you have a deck of cards like split up into 3, and as you're flipping, you're seeing these different numbers, 1 through 15, and they are going to be placed on your neighborhood. So you have 3 rows on your neighborhood, and you're also going to be placing those cards in a sequential order, ideally. Now, it's okay if you skip numbers, but I'm trying to think. It's not ideal because you would have to like build a roundabout in between, especially if you're not going in order anymore. I'm kind of getting off track here.
Yeah. Well, you always have to go in order by street, and there's 3 streets. And the way the cards come out, there's a number card and then some sort of feature, like a pool, a park, or construction.
Real estate, which increases your value of your homes so they can be worth more points.
Yeah, and so it's always going to be different coming out, and fences, too. Fences are a big thing, too. There's also goal cards where you're trying to get different groupings of houses surrounded by fences. And then it's very quick. The box says 25 minutes. It's funny, it says 1 to 100 players because you could play it with 100 players because it really doesn't matter. Everybody's using the same 3 cards that are in front of you. You're choosing one of those 3 combinations, and then you're writing it down, putting it on your board. And like Michelle said, this is a great game. This is almost on my top 10 every time we're making a list. I'm like, it's just such a good game. But there's always something, it doesn't have that like super wow factor, but it's every time I play it, I'm like, man, it's such a good game.
And we've got several versions of this too, so it's not just Welcome to. There are holidays that go with this one as well. So we have the Halloween, we have the Christmas, and then we have the Easter, and then the summertime version of Welcome to, and so we'll try and like play that one based on what time of year it is,
Yeah.
just because it's fun. And those are on dry erase boards. I want to say.
Yeah.
The original comes with like a pad of paper, but it's so many of them, like you'd have to play hundreds of times. So this is Welcome to. Am I missing anything with this one?
Yeah, there's also the Welcome to the Moon.
Oh,
It's basically the same system where you have the 3 card combinations that you're trying to do it. There's 8 different maps though on that one, and each one has its own little special spin on the game. Like the first one, you're doing a rocket launch. The second one, you're doing like a trajectory to the moon. So there's only like one street, but you can kind of break it up depending on the abilities, and then there's
there's more to it for sure.
Yeah, there's definitely more to it, and you can kind of play it like a campaign, like a little story. But this one, it's awesome, great game.
Yes, and in that whole under 30-minute playtime. That's Welcome to. There were also some like honorable mentions that we wanted to share because we've either already talked about them a lot or maybe we haven't, but we didn't get them broken out. So Point Salad is definitely another amazing less than 30-minute game. We have another video on that game though, so feel free to check that out.
Yep. It's also Sushi Go. It's very similar. You can play it with 2 or up to more. It's kind of like a pass and play card game. I don't know if we've talked about that one on the YouTube.
I don't think so. And then I know we have talked about Nova Luna, which we did a little bit tonight too, but that is another really good less than 30-minute game.
Yeah, and the last one, I actually lent it to my school's board game club. It's called Coup, and it's basically a better version of, if you've ever played the card game BS, it's like a more gamey version of that, and it's a lot of fun in my opinion.
So that's what we have for this video in our under 30-minute games. So feel free to drop any comments below and let us know what your favorite 30-minute games are or what else you would like to see us make and create.
That's right, and until next time, I'm Zach.
And I'm Michelle.
And this has been A Couple Games.